What you are about to watch is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute any type of advice. Always question the validity of what you see and what you hear. Viewer discretion is advised.
If you're seeking for answers to resolve problems in life, you've come to the right place. We have seen so many scams and misuses of education that have left us hopeless. With so much student loan debt that we're facing in our country, it is no wonder why people are losing hope in education. It is something that is being overpromised and under-delivered. We're here to show you how to use education for enlightenment and wisdom, because at the end of the day, education and wisdom are divine in nature. Education that leads to wisdom comes to you affordably, and it is capable to deliver tenfold. Let's get into it. First and foremost, you must let go of the idea that you have some type of external purpose that you are trying to find. And this may strike a nerve and make you want to click away, but be patient and listen until the end, because this can be the response to the change you need in your life. Let me break it down for you. Your purpose and the purpose of humanity is to serve God and obey what He commands to us. This does not mean to affiliate yourself to some church and give them 10% of your earnings or more. We're against that type of guilt strategy and manipulation. God does not need your money and does not need some grifter who claims to represent Him to take your money so you can purchase your way into heaven. That grift is absurd and so far from God that if someone tries to engage with that, you should run the other way and never turn back. Also, any desire and aspiration is just that, a desire of your heart to which there's nothing wrong with wanting. But you must realize that it is just a want, and as a son or daughter of God, you are deserving of getting what you want. You may ask, how is it that we can serve God? It is not by renouncing to money, business deals, stop watching TV, or any of those things that some churches claim it to be the answers. The real answer is simple, and it is to commit to prayer, to strive to be a better you to yourself and to others. This is why Jesus left the commandment to love each other as you love yourself. It makes the stipulation that you love yourself. So taking care of your body, because it is your temple and your vehicle to the world, and being kind to one another are the real purpose of human experience. Serving God is to take the invitation to be part of something higher than yourself or any other external purpose that you may believe that exists. Serving God is about allowing God to use you as the vehicle of change and good to humanity. It's about constantly communicating back to God through prayer and send you messages to provide guidance. It's about not being proud and having it your way or the highway. It's about receiving your next instructions for your fate, no matter what it looks like. You may say, what about the things that I desire and what I want out of my life? The answer is simple. Psalms 37:4 says, delight in God, and He will grant you desires of your heart. So not giving up your plans or ideas, just serving God and let Him grant you what you desire. Get out of your own way and let God lead the way in your life. Now, back to how to use education for enlightenment and wisdom, which is crucial to obtaining any desire that you may have. If you want to find true wisdom, remember that Proverbs 1:7 says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, as fools despise wisdom and instruction because it exposes their grift. Emphasis is added here, obviously. Fear of God does not mean terror, it means reverence to God. The real translation from Hebrew to Greek and then English was done wrong. Reverence is the right term. This is why Orthodox Jews bow when they pray. It is to show reverence, or what was originally mistranslated as fear. Proverbs 22:6 tells us to train our children in the way he should go, and even when he's old, he will not depart from it. The tyrants of the world have exploited this truth to indoctrinate our children. Ecclesiastes 7:12 shows the true power of education by stating that the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money, and the advantage of knowledge is what wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. That's how powerful real education is. Proverbs 18:15 further emphasized that an intelligent heart acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. This is the future that awaits for those of us who understand that there is no duality, there is nothing outside of God, that our true defined purpose is to serve God. Proverbs 16:16 reinforces the power of real education by telling us that it is much greater to get wisdom than gold. To get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver, because this knowledge and wisdom will get you gold and silver, but gold and silver alone will get you whatever then can afford you at the moment, and once you spent it, it will be all gone. But wisdom and knowledge transcend the material. Proverbs 4:13 further warns us to guard true education by telling us to keep hold of instruction, not to let it go, guard it, for it is our life. True knowledge and wisdom that comes from sincere, useful education is this powerful. Proverbs 9:9 takes it even farther by emphasizing that there is a very particular type who is an intelligent student. It reads, "Give an instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning." The reason it is so is because for those of us who have a heart that belongs to God, our teaching expands and we awaken the reality of the world and how to navigate it. This is why God is not only our purpose, but our only purpose that can grant all of our wants. Jeremiah 29:11 reads, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and hope." This makes it very clear that God is our purpose, and anything hurtful that may happen to us does not come from God, but from those mistakes of us or others. On another video, we translated that sin means failure, which in turn comes from mistakes that displease God. Daniel 1:17 tells us that God has given us learning in all literature and wisdom. That's why reading is important and education is essential. Psalms 119:66 further states how to serve our purpose by constantly asking God through prayer to give us good judgment and knowledge as we learn His commandments. It is important because the narcissist's quest for purpose leads to plenty of suffering, but the path of God leads to success. Proverbs 16:3 makes it very clear by telling us that committing our work to the Lord and our plans will be established. How much clearer can it be? God also understands that we are not born with wisdom. We are not even born with language. This is why we turn to God for truth and wisdom. Proverbs 2:6 says that God gives wisdom. From His mouth comes knowledge. All we have to do is ask sincerely from our heart. That sincerity opens up for wisdom because, as Proverbs 1:5 says, the wiser hear God's instructions and increase in learning, and the ones who understand will obtain guidance. This is all about true purpose. Proverbs 29:15 makes it very clear why we need to be corrected into true wisdom by stating that the rod and the reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself brings shame to his mother. This is sometimes mistaken as getting beat up into compliance, but it is not. It is about shaking ourselves into opening our eyes and see what ignorance gets us into. All that OnlyFans garbage and perverted behavior, full of insecurities, seeking for approval on social media brings nothing but shame to those who failed to raise us with respect. God will tell you that a woman who shows her body for $10 is not a good partner or a wife. She is for the streets, and to the streets she will be delivered. Harlots will be harlots, and let them sink into their failures. The foolishness of thinking that showing your body is the way to go is of idiots of this world. Proverbs 16:22 makes it clear by saying that the good sense is a foundation of life to him who has it, but the instruction of fools is folly. This is why wisdom is not for the narcissists who think their way is their way. The solution is to let them fail. If it is their fate to awaken, they will, and they will be forgiven. But if they don't, it is their fate to fail. Proverbs 3:5-6 further emphasizes the error in the ways of the narcissist's self-delusion purpose by saying that we must trust the Lord with all of our heart and not to lean on our own understanding. In all of our ways, acknowledging God will lead us to a straight path. All that I'm sharing with you is not to convince you to abandon all your wants in life, but rather to keep them, but not as your primary purpose, but rather as the fulfillments that God is to grant for you as you fulfill your purpose of serving God. For example, as you engage in daily prayer, learn to talk to yourself as you go on with your day. I know this sounds crazy, but talking to yourself out loud can be a form of meditation, even a form of prayer, because you're talking to the side of you that is closer to God, which is your true silent self that can deliver the message to God. When you do that on a daily basis, practice being kind and respectful to others, and engage only in value-for-value relationships, you will be fulfilling your servitude to God. Following some religion that twists the word of God is so far from getting you to serve God, because these institutions have replaced God with the false temples and cutting into your wallet by asking you for 10% of your income. It is none of their business how much you make. God does not need your money. They do. And they are replacing God by secretly wanting to be your God and getting you to pay them. I rarely say it, but there is a powerful message you can send to them by showing them one finger of your hand. I will leave that riddle for you to resolve. The Jewish Bible tells us that God's instruction was given to men, no man given to destruction. This means that the preservation and good of our fellow humans take priority over anything else. This is why to be kind, to respect yourself and your body, and to talk to God through your silent self is a way of serving God. There are other ways that may be more or less strict, but here we are sharing our own strategy of divine servitude that does not have to cost you anything, does not have to leave you vulnerable with anyone cutting into your wallet, and can actually benefit you, because as you build valuable relationships where you and the other party give to each other, you will have non-exploitative relationships where all parties benefit. No longer will you be the victim to the grift of all the fake gurus, corrupt church preachers who are thirsty for cash like an OF thought, or to the predatory people who want something from you in exchange for nothing. Now, you will have the courage to use the divine word to drive them out of your life, and when they depart, be glad. Let them go, because the swine gladly goes back to the mud, and the harlot to the sale of her body. I am telling you the things that many churches will be appalled at the way that I talk and speak of the truth. But if it is too hot for them, they may get out of the kitchen and not let the door hit them on the rear. Jesus himself went to the temple and drove all the thieves, gamblers, and grifters as he told them, "Get the hell out of my Father's house." He wasn't soft-spoken or fearful. He was driven with strength and zero hesitation. If he had known Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he would have broken an arm and told these losers that if he saw them again, he would break the other arm. In other chapters, we will teach you how to actually find that education, how to use prayer efficiently, how to find fulfilling relationships, and how to live the desires of your heart through serving God as the highest and only true purpose. If you like driving beautiful fast cars, then you shall drive beautiful fast cars. If you like fine dining, a beautiful comfortable home, a prosperous business, or anything else that is material, then you shall have it, because the path of God can grant that and much more. This power crowns kings and grants masters lands beyond what their eyes can see. Do you really think your material desires pose any challenge to God's majesty? Not at all. The easiest way is to fulfilling your purpose of serving God. This does not mean letting people use you and abuse you, quite the contrary. It may actually mean telling the F word to some of these abusers. The F phrase being far, far, far from me. I don't want you around. The instruction of God makes you stronger, not weaker. Anyone who tells you otherwise has never read the story of Eliyahu, which in the English version translates to Elijah. His name means Jehu is God, which is God's real name, and when his prophet showed up, it was to demonstrate that Jehu was God. The pagan priests tried to stand up, but Eliyahu beat them so far and humiliated them, therefore demonstrated that there is only one God. When he was done with them, he crushed them to the point that they couldn't get back up ever again, just like the 40 laws of power instruct. Who said that you can't find God outside of the Bible? God inspires words of wisdom, so I suggest reading all types of books, even those written about tyranny, because through God's guidance, even a math book can make you much wiser. Especially a math book, because our God is a God of math and engineering and an excellent developer too. But let me ask you a question. Does Eliyahu sound like a weak or soft man? Not at all. God does not choose weak man or woman. If God has chosen you, you bet there is a level of powerful strength, even if you struggle to see it. Even Moses struggled to see it, and he defeated the Pharaoh and his house of traitors. This is why reading, which I heavily encourage you to do, not only biblically, but other books too. I will share a list with you shortly. Reading makes you much wiser, and it helps you question who's telling you the truth and who may be lying to you. One of the books that I strongly recommend is the 48 Laws of Power. It has many truths that are hard to accept, but stick to God's guidance and you will understand how the business world works. I also recommend The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The book is such a wise book as well, because it shows you how to agree with your more authentic self in order to make more choices that align with your authenticity. The other book that I would recommend is The 5 Levels of Attachment. I particularly deeply love that book because the author teaches you that there are 5 levels of idolatry that keep you in a state of fanatism. The author calls the levels of attachment, but I think levels of fanatism is a better term because such term very well depicts how far you have taken the idea of making an event, a sport team, a politician, a celebrity, or just about anything that you have replaced God with your object of worship. The deeper the level of idolatry, the more than you're willing to do in order to show your loyalty to the idol, and in turn, the more you're willing to sin against God. Another book that I really enjoy is The Mastery of Self, because it teaches you about the concept of indoctrination, to which he refers to as domestication, and is rather accurate, but we rather use the term indoctrination because it highlights the issue with the seriousness that it deserves. Not that Don Miguel Ruiz does not do a good job of pointing that out, but given that we're language driven, we find the words indoctrination more appropriate. The book teaches how awareness creates the awakening to this indoctrination, and in turn is our way out of this ruthless game that we unnecessarily play into day in and day out. My next favorite book will be Reality Transurfing. This book is absolutely nuts when it comes to content that is new and may even seem far-fetched. I am not the first or the only one whose life was absolutely changed thanks to this book. Some of the ideas may seem hard to believe, but if you have an open mind and are willing to learn something new, it is hard not to carry the powerful concept with you and apply them to your everyday life. The concept took me to an amazing career in technology that I love, and therefore it feels like I don't even work. I play all day basically. It took me into helping a company that started a very unique school, and then into creating this nonprofit, and even got Google to give us $10,000 per month in ads credit. It has taken me to travel all over the Pacific Northwest, and I have experienced life to a very different level. The next books that I recommend are my books, What You Don't Know Will Hurt You and The Chronicles of Human Emotion. These books will help you understand what has been hidden from your eyes and therefore causing chaos in life, and how your emotions are not useless overreactive responses but rather intuitions that you may be misrepresenting. The first book is free, and you can get access to the second one by giving us $10 or more donation so that we can further our mission. So why am I encouraging you reading content outside of the Bible? It is not to promote our own books or even promote our favorite books, which we hold absolutely no affiliation with, but rather to demonstrate that God is so great that can be found in just about any book that inspires creativity and the will to create opportunities for a better world for each other, because after all, that is the ultimate and real purpose of serving God. We really hope that what you have learned has been insightful. We believe that anyone who limits God to being the God of Scripture is actually far from understanding God. God is the God of all wisdom, of all knowledge, of all mercy. He is a personable God with a name which we can get to know and have a relationship with. He is a spirit who created us from his breath. He is part of nature, and therefore he is everywhere. I know this can be a bit much to wrap our mind around, which brings me to the last concept, and that is that we recognize that any church, ministry, or charity project takes money to run. So if you want to donate what you find in your heart to donate. We will never ask you for 10% of your earnings. That's pure grift.